There's a couple of films that you've worked on. I mean, Nomfundo, Lobola. Of all the projects that you've worked on, which one really defines your career?
I'd say Vindela Under Lockdown, which is about the repatriation center for undocumented migrants in Krugerstorp, the gross human rights violations that are taking place at Vindela. It defined me because it was very dangerous and challenging to shoot. It was really guerrilla style, to be quite honest with you. I mean, climbing on walls, flying drones, using cell phones, talking to prisoners or detainees, you know, like all these crazy things you can imagine. And I feel like that helped me to deal with any kind of shooting conditions that I might find myself under. For example, Road to Jerusalem, I was shooting in Palestine and Israel, and that's very hectic in terms of the military presence and bombings and things like that, which were happening even way before this conflict that's happening now. I was calm because I'd done Vindela, you know, so that taught me that I can achieve anything I want to achieve if I put my mind to it.
Do you think documentary filmmaking needs a certain bravery to it? I've seen documentaries where guys are in war zones, so they're like, and they still like, we're taking the camera and we're going in there, and I'm a bit scared for those crew members, but you know, that's just the reality of the job. Do you feel that there's a certain bravery needed with documentary filmmaking?
You gotta be gangster. You gotta be gangster. You know, you gotta be willing to go to all lengths while being ethical, of course, to get the kind of content you want to get. But you also need to be sensitive. So you need to be a sensitive gangster because you can't re-traumatize people. You know what I mean? You can't film people without their consent. There's so many ethical guidelines, you know, that stem from journalism itself that you need to apply when you're making a documentary. But if you need to get the story, you need to get the story. If it means smuggling phones, if it means flying drones over places you can't fly, or recording audio only, you do whatever it takes to get the story, because the story needs to get out there. Yeah, you need to be brave.
Wow.
And for the sake of the crew, you know, there were so many times when I thought I'm getting arrested, but just had to keep my cool. Because if I lose it, they lose it. You know what I mean?
I hear you. So now, Lobola, A Bride's True Price. Man, hey, you've pushed this film, man. I was at the Durban Film Festival with you as well. You were pushing this film. Please tell us about your journey on Lobola. We don't have to go too much into details about the film if you don't want to, but please tell me about your journey of making that film.
So Lobola is my first feature-length documentary. So you need to get trust. Okay, and the trust of the investors, of the funders, and it's difficult with your first feature, right? And Lobola for me started from that desire just to share our pre-colonial history as Bantu people. And I wanted to tell the story of Mapungubwe. I couldn't get funding, and I got funding for Lobola because it's a modern manifestation of how we as Bantu people behave and the fact that we hold cattle in high regard. But then I had to be on camera, and I didn't want to be on camera. So it was also a deeply personal film, obviously, because it's about my own life. So it's been one of the most challenging ones. Sort of have like a love-hate relationship with it, you know, because I had to document everything, whether I was failing spectacularly or succeeding or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But it's been very gratifying to see how people have received it and the fact that it resonates no matter where we are, especially on the continent. But even in America, like I felt like it was a teaching moment, you know, for people to see a Black woman with agency and how we live as millennials and coexist with our culture.
That's so
true. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'd do that again, though.
I guess it ties in with the bravery, because you had to be brave enough to give us your life and put yourself in front of the camera. And so I understand.